General! Herman Moro, everybody. Caleb Wilborn here. And this is our first podcast we've ever done together, right?
The second one of the day.
Second one of the day. Tell me about that.
Well, we got an invitation to this other person first podcast, and that was actually the first one in my life. So, good. Thank you for the invitation. You're the second one.
What did you guys talk about?
Well, this guy had a postcard about how to live well, and he was more focused on nutrition, exercise. But I guess that following your dreams and being happy and put the kind of projects that we're trying to put together, you know, in our particular line of work, which is shipwrecks and sunken treasure, it's a way of living your life to the fullest, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've been there with me in the boat,
Yeah.
in the open water, so it's a really nice way to try to, at least, you know, I'm getting old, so I want to finish my days, you know, with a bang.
Well, that's what it's all about, and you definitely create quite a bang. So I guess I should start how we met.
Yeah.
So I'm in the manufacturing industry, in the supplement industry, and a longtime friend of mine and a mentor to me, Neil, he told me about his friend who's a treasure hunter, and how he's putting together this expedition, and he got me involved and my partner in Ageless Humans, and so we became a part of the story of the largest fleet ever lost,
Mm-hmm.
and the largest treasure ever lost, and the allure of finding it, and this man named Herman Moro. It's spelled German, you guys, but I say Herman, and he says Herman, and
That's close enough.
Yeah. So Herman Moro, and how he's from Argentina, and he found this other treasure off of Ecuador so many years before, and he was an expert in Spanish and English in these archives, and we had to sign an NDA, right, a non-disclosure agreement before we could be privy to this information, and so we were so excited, we became a part of the expedition, and that was in June of 2025.
Correct. That first expedition was the tragic one because our friend Neil died after diving on our shipwreck site, and that was a terrible, absolutely awful experience. I knew Neil for 4 years. We were business partners in some of his Colorado manufacturing enterprises, and he was a hard-working guy, smart, and always, you know, driving, you know, his business, and so happy and full of life. And he was also kind of tired of the manufacturing industry, and he was so much looking forward to doing something different. And he saw this shipwreck project.
And he loved water skiing.
Yeah, he did. He
and
was actually
snow skiing.
Yeah, he was pretty good about
and
it.
he wanted me to take him surfing. He would always, because he wasn't a surfer, and he loved the fact that I was a surfer, and I could talk to him. He would ask me about surfing.
He was a water guy.
And he wanted to know, and he was his dream to come and go surfing with me.
He was a water guy and pretty fit for a 63 years old, and he dove like a girl, that I have to say, like you know, he goes down, you know, like compressing the ears like that. But I was trying to tell him not to do that, at least while we were filming, like I was doing with you, remember? And yeah, he was a water guy, and so we have this accident in the middle of our expedition, and that was really, really bad. And to tell the truth, I thought we were not going to recover from it. I mean, when we came back, you know, I wasn't sure how we were going to put together back, you know, our team and our project and finance another trip to this reef, which is in the middle of nowhere, a very expensive proposition. But then, you know, a month after his passing, and Neil's services were conducted at his hometown in Boulder, Colorado, and me and my wife Christina, we attended, and Neil's family was there, and you were there. That's when I saw you. You had a funny hat. Remember that?
I have the hat. Should I forget it?
Yeah, you should bring the hat so people know. You know,
there's a feather in it.
Yeah, I know. And so, what was nice about Neil's service was that. the family was very supportive to me and to my wife, and they were very nice. And I didn't know what I was going to run into. We were kind of nervous because, after all, Neil was my crew member, and in a way, it was my responsibility. And but they made it very clear that they wanted his legacy to go on. They didn't want, this guy to die and that be the end of his dream. And so I came after that trip with a resolution to try again. And it was very helpful to me having meeting you, because you also supported me, and you supported me financially, because we have to kind of figure it out how to gather the money for that second trip, and you were instrumental in that, and I have to say thank you. And we would have not been able to do it without you, Caleb, my new partner and friend. So thank you. It's a good opportunity to give this guy credit, and we will always remember Neil, right? And every time we have an opportunity, we toast to him. And right here.
All right, to Neil.
To Neil. And happy to say that we will probably now have succeeded, and he sure would have been very, very proud of you following up in his footsteps, okay? And getting the job done. So before we get really emotional, and because I'm almost there, why don't you change the subject?
On this specific fleet of Spanish galleons that sunk hundreds of years ago in the Western Caribbean Sea,
yes.
What made you attracted? Because there's 3 million shipwrecks worldwide that have just 90% of them are illegal to go try to find them, right? For all these reasons.
These 4 shipwrecks are intact, and that makes them incredibly valuable. And because you have to understand that most shipwrecks happen in shallow waters, like these ones did. But that also means that most shipwrecks have been salvaged, okay? At the time when they were down, the Spaniards or the locals, and did a pretty good job, working these treasure sites out and recovering most, sometimes all, of their treasures. So there are very, very, very little, and if any, treasure shipwrecks that in shallow waters that are intact. And 4 of them are probably on this reef. And I think we have a very good chance to have located a handful of those. So we'll see where that goes.
So how did you get into treasure hunting?
I was young. We were young with my wife, we were
everybody
young
wants
immigrants.
to be a treasure hunter.
True.
A pirate, a little kid in a sword.
It's in our human spirit, isn't it? Yeah, I believe that. Unfortunately,
what
now...
is that Mark Twain quote?
I don't remember the quote by heart, but something like, if when you're a boy, if you're good, okay, and you behave, God will allow you to come in the next life as a pirate.
So how did you get into it?
Well, my wife and I, when we immigrated to the United States, this was a long time ago, we started mowing lawns. We live in the Washington, D.C. area, and there was, a lot of big yards, and putting mulch in the spring, blowing leaves in the fall, but in the winter there was no work. So that was 3-month vacation. I'm not sure that was good or bad, but that's the way it was. So we took into scuba diving, and we started traveling a little bit into the Caribbean and fall in love with the sea, with the ocean. And we subscribed to this magazine back in the day. I'm talking early 90s, so back then there was no internet, so you get your information from your magazines, you subscribe to your magazine.
Sure.
This magazine
I
gets
used to
delivered.
sell magazines subscription.
Okay, there you go. and there was this one magazine called The Skin Diver, and we get it
I remember
maybe
that magazine,
once a month, maybe once a week. I don't know, but it was already winter. It was December, and we get this magazine, and the cover of the magazine, said, the 10 richest undiscovered shipwrecks in the Americas. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Say, what is this? So I started, looking at it, and I learned that there was this whole industry, that there was this technology that made it possible to find, lost shipwrecks. And all these companies, mostly Americans, mostly in Florida, doing this work. and I become an avid reader of books on the subject. We were lucky because we live in Washington, D.C., and the Library of Congress is there, so we have an almost unlimited access to most information. And we decided to go and try to find one of those. And I went through that list, okay, and trying to figure out which one was the best prospect. You know, there were the 10 richest. And some of them were in Cuba off the list, and other ones were in Florida, and too many American treasure hunters, they're already doing that. So I made it to this one that was lost in Ecuador in 1654. And I thought, okay, we're gonna find that shipwreck, and we did. That's a pretty amazing story in itself.
What's the name of that ship?
The name was El Jesús María de la Limpia Concepción, but the nickname was La Capitana, was the flagship of the South Sea Armada. And it had an impressive amount of treasure.
Don't you guys love how he talks?
Well,
can you say the name of the ship again?
Jesús María de la Limpia Concepción. Come on, you have to polish your Spanish.
I love that.
Yeah, you'll get there, okay. Don't worry. And so, very important shipwreck, tons of treasure lost. The Spaniards had salvaged a good chunk of it, but there supposedly was another, like 20% left, and there was enough to make a big recovery, financially strong, and fine. But when we got there, we only found a few thousand coins and a few silver bars and a couple of gold jewelry objects. It was pretty good, but it was not nearly close to what we thought we were going to find. And that's because the Spanish did not only salvage most of it, but they stole some of what they salvaged. So there was no record of that. So instead of 20% left, maybe there was less than 5. And that day I said that if I was going to do another shipwreck project, it had to be an intact one. I didn't want to again go through the leftovers of someone else's salvage operation.
So how did you find that historical information?
You do that in a way we are lucky.
Because you speak Spanish.
Yeah, we
and
are
you
lucky.
read Spanish,
yeah,
and you speak and read English, so that's the advantage.
That's an advantage over the American treasure hunting community. And because we felt, with my wife Cristina, very comfortable working with the Spanish archives. And all the information on the Spanish colonization of the Americas, it's focused on in this one archive and museum in Seville called Archivo General de Indias. That's where everything is, so it's all there. So once you get to know the archive and how to work inside the archives and how to read the old manuscripts, this is like hard reading, and
because it's hundreds of years old.
Yes, and the way they write
even
is
in
weird.
English,
It looks like Chinese. I give you a page of that, and you cannot even tell one word from the other.
It's cursive and
it
so
doesn't matter.
swoopy.
Even if you speak Spanish, you cannot really read it. But we did an extremely good, archival research, looking at those documents, and we figured it out exactly where that shipwreck was. And we got lucky because.
And how come nobody else?
Because people don't do, in-depth research like we did. And everybody know that it had sunk around this one area, but no one knew exactly. And we had found one quote that said that the shipwreck was 1 cuadra, whatever that means, we have to figure it out, from the place called El Negro, the black one. So we learned that a quadra then was like a quarter of a mile, okay? And the problem was that the shipwreck was lost a mile offshore, and there was nothing there that it could be a quarter of a mile from. Nothing. At the time, there was not Google Maps. You didn't have access to good satellite pictures. So we couldn't figure out that part of the enigma. But we went there with my wife, who is sitting there, by the way, here in the story. She knows it well. And we went out with this local fisherman that we hired in his little panga. And then we go out, I don't know, like when you say mile, that means, you go out like 5 minutes into the ocean, 10 minutes. And then he said, well, where do you want? I said, well, we anchor here. And we anchor in this place in the middle of nowhere, basically. And I'm sweating up because I wanted to take a dive to see how the ocean floor looked like, try to learn about the place. That was my only purpose. And as I'm putting my suit. And
how deep?
Yeah, it was like 50 feet, not very deep, 40, 50.
Clear water?
No, not that clear like where we were last time. And but again, that was part of the purpose. That was the first time I was going to dive on the area. So as I'm gearing up, I see this wave, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, bouncing up and coming toward us. So I got a little bit scared, and I look at the fisherman. I said, no, don't worry. And the wave came out, and then, off and down again, and nothing happened. Okay, that was a little bit strange. So I'm about to go into the water, sitting on the little boat, ready to flip. And again, another wave came out. And I got concerned.
A rock.
Yeah, exactly. So I tell the guy, say, hey, watch out. No, don't worry, that's El Negro. And they say, what?
No,
El Negro.
Funny. He said, don't worry, that's just El Negro.
So there was a rock, there was a little reef there, and most of the time it was
hundreds
underwater.
Hundreds of years later, he still called it El Negro.
And so we knew then that one quadra, a quarter of a mile from there, the shipwreck should be, and the shipwreck was.
So how did you get into this fleet, moving forward, fast forward?
What happened after our project in Ecuador?
Because that was in the 90s.
I know. But you have to understand that treasure is trouble, okay? And I'm keep on repeating to all my partners and friends and team members, the dream is in the finding, in the looking, okay? The moment you actually get your target, the nightmare begins, okay? And that's pretty much what happened in Ecuador, to a point in which my wife told me, I'll divorce you if you do another shipwreck project. And that was scary. I said, okay, I guess that was it. And so for 20 years, I didn't do much, but I always, had in my mind looking for this one and project.
And why aren't we going to talk about the one that we just went to look for right now?
Well, because
I'm sure everybody, which exactly one it is.
I know, but we're at a point regarding our jurisdiction and some legal matters that are going to have to be sorted out, that I think that is in our best interest not to put a name and an exact date on these shipwrecks and until we can figure it out, our legal strategy moving forward. Okay. And I wish to love about, because I'm a fanatic about this one story.
Yeah.
What I can tell you is that on my 50th birthday, my wife asked me, "What do you want for your 50th?" 50 is like big 50.
Yeah.
And I say, I wanna go back and I say, I wanna make a confession. I've been already researching. And she laughed at me and said, I knew you were doing that. True story, right? She doesn't let me laugh. So, and what was incredible about the historical research on this mysterious fleet is that the Spaniards could not find the shipwrecks after they were lost. So, to me, I knew that how I was going to be able to figure out where they are, studying the documents that the Spaniards created, at the time, a few hundred years back, when the people that created those documents could not find the shipwrecks. It was like mission impossible. Yeah. It was 1 in 1,000. I thought that, maybe there was something there that they didn't know then that we can, figure it out now. And I tackle that project, again, all odds, really, because I love the opportunity to find in these intact shipwrecks. To tell you the truth, it was such a big challenge, and I got lucky, and we figured it out. And here they are, and then we were able to confirm it, through some other historical information, and, it paid off. What can I say?
But nobody has ever put those pieces of information together. So you found some information here, some information there.
There are two schools of thought regarding this historical research. Yeah. One is the classic, which is the Spanish, road, which is what we took first, and the Spanish records, and shows very clearly once you understand them.
What is like an example of some kind of information that you might read?
For example, we, again, if I get into the details of that, I'm giving away.
I'm curious.
No, I can tell you this. In order to fully understand, the information, you have to first understand its nature, because this is not history books. These are letters written by one government official to another one, mostly, okay? And these people, they have a point of view. Sometimes they have a problem because legally they could be liable for something, so they could say things in a certain way, or they could even lie. So you have to understand who is writing and why they are transferring, that information and to whom, and to start making sense of it. And then you have to know enough about sailor's life and what it meant to sail, okay, in the 17th and 18th century, how these galleons moved through the ocean, and so you can, put yourself in the shoes of these sales people and the passengers that went on these boats, so you can understand what they were saying when they were talking and creating and writing these documents. And only when you have a full understanding of that, then you can make true sense of what they meant. Okay, and that takes a little bit of effort and imagination, but I particularly love that part of the treasure hunting business, to be able to do that. It's like a puzzle.
Yeah.
And you know what? When the puzzle is not correct and you have one piece that doesn't quite fit, then the picture is not clear, and sometimes you want it to be clear because you want to believe in something, and you're trying to force that piece which doesn't make sense, but you're coming up with like an excuse of maybe that could have been because of that. But when the piece doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. But when you finally got it, everything is perfect. And all the pieces of the puzzle come together, and then the picture is clear, and there is no other explanation. And that's how we knew through the historical research that we knew where the shipwrecks were lost. But knowing where they were lost doesn't mean that you know exactly. In this case, they were lost off a faraway reef. The reef is pretty long and large, as you know, okay? And you still have to go there and find them, okay? But that's when we got lucky, because an English captain found one of these shipwrecks 100 years later, and he gave some pinpointing information inside the reef. So we were able to double check, double confirm with that information that we had, that we were all along right on our assumptions, and based on the Spanish historical information. And what was good about the English one is that the English say it's here. I like to use the allegory of I lost my keys in the house. The Spanish information let us know that the keys of the car are inside the house. Where inside the house? I mean, I don't know. We still have to find them, right? It's gonna take a while. But the English information was good enough to show us they're not only inside the house, they're in the sofa. And now we just have to go to the sofa and find the keys, which is what we did, which was pretty easy. I mean, within a day or two, we got our anomalies, right?
So just going back, so at the memorial, Neil's memorial, is when I met Herman, and he had emailed me asking if I was going to go because he knew I was a part of the first expedition. And then I said, yeah, I'm going. And I think I was the only one that went.
Yes.
Neil had the group.
Yeah.
And anyway, we made a vow. I made a vow with you. After you had the blessing from his family to do the second expedition. So that's when you showed me. Around then, you had a white paper for crypto.
Yes.
Right? And it was like connecting the coins of the past to the coins of the future. And I shared that with Dr. Chase, my partner in Ages Humans, and he wrote back in an email, wow, this is the...
Brilliant. That's the word he used.
Brilliant. This is brilliant. And so basically, I have a friend who's a genius in software development. And, he's talking about bridging stuff. He bridges people's digital payment systems with services. So he's done some pretty significant financial software for T-Mobile and 7-Eleven and all these big corporations. He does some...
Eric. He's a genius. Yeah, I agree.
So I told him about this, and we've done some little projects here and there, but we had about 3 or 4 crypto projects on the table that that Dr. Chase and I were going to do. One is I don't want to talk about them.
That's okay.
Let the cat.
But after you saw my white paper,
yeah, we throw all the other ones went off the table, and we're like, we need to do this.
Yeah,
and the reason why is because we were so convinced that you had found the largest fleet, the largest treasure ever lost, right? You had me sold on I'm like, this is it. They're gonna find it. So we decided to move forward with Eric, and Eric decided, hey, dude, this is awesome. If you guys are in it, let's do it. So we started Heritage Labs, And we decided that Eric and I would go to Grand Cayman. I said, Eric, because you guys were going from Grand Cayman and leaving from Grand Cayman to go, and you rented an Airbnb, got a house. You're like, hey, we're gonna have a little party before we depart on the. And we weren't planning on going, but I was like, Eric, we need to go and film. We need to go film this for.
You wanted to go live, remember? It's like
Yeah,
we
and
have to shoot live.
Yeah, I was hanging out with Hunter Richards, and he was a film producer in Hollywood, and another gentleman there, John LeBrew, he's another filmmaker. They basically were telling me, hey, dude, you gotta go. You gotta film, put your iPhone sideways, and you gotta make sure it's in 4K and do all this stuff, you know. So I told Eric, I said, Eric, we have to go to Grand Cayman. You have to come with me. This is like a once in a lifetime. You'll regret it forever if you don't go. And so he's like, man, you're right. So
he's a busy guy.
Yeah, he's a busy guy, and we went, and we showed up at Grand Cayman, and
I got you a little bit drunk and convinced you to come along, which turned out pretty good. And but no,
I thought it was the other way around. I thought you were the one a little drunk and decided I should come.
Yeah, well, maybe, and
maybe both.
But no. What is important about our upcoming crypto token idea is that it really solves a problem that has no solution. I really believe this blockchain application is one of the few that I know of that does something real and something good. Because what you have to understand now is that the way shipwrecks are treated all around the world, because they're cultural patrimony in 95% of the countries, if not more, you cannot really look for them, you cannot find them, you cannot excavate them, it's illegal. If you find them, you cannot sell the artifacts. If you have artifacts, they have to go to a museum. So there is really no commercial incentive, okay, to do these projects. And because of that, these shipwrecks, they never get found, okay? Basically, these are precious historical underwater resources that will stay there forever, okay, under the status quo. So I think that under the current paradigm, everybody loses, okay? Now, if we can create a token and we can, through the token, monetize the expeditions to look for the shipwrecks, and these tokens, they can represent, you know, the values of the treasure recovered, and now we don't need to sell those artifacts. We can put them in a museum. Now, you know, companies like mine can go out and look for shipwrecks, conduct, you know, proper underwater archaeology proceedings. The artifacts can be preserved and then exhibit, a museum can be built, and the community where the museum goes can benefit, and everybody in that community can benefit economically from, you know, the wealth that these maritime museums create around them, because these are money-making and machines for any city that can host them through tourism and other venues. So we go from an everybody loses to everybody wins, okay? So the mission for our token, it cannot be more important, because most countries in the world, you know, are poor. They do not have the resources to develop these projects on their own. And if they can entice, you know, companies like mine to deploy our know-how, our technology, and our capital, assume the risk, okay, of the search. And then if we find, you know, a precious shipwreck, you know, it will be a payoff for everybody, mostly for the country that will host the museum where all these things will go. So by buying and holding our tokens, you know, people can help to put these projects together. And instead of, you know, owing a coin in their drawer of their house where no one will see it, you know, that coin will be in a museum, and it will be thanks to them that the coin is there, and other people can appreciate it. And they can have they can own like the virtual representation of that artifact. And that's why Eric had the great idea of calling our blockchain application Relix, okay? And as a way to defend history and for our own project, other shipwreck projects, and actually can be applied to any kind of archaeological or historical object with value. I see personally and a huge future and for this blockchain application. I really believe it's the right one, and we can change the world with it. So high hopes for that.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I'm usually, when I'm creating, I do a lot of branding and stuff all the time. And so with Eric, you know, he's like, oh, I got it. So I had to let him have his creative thing, and man, he really came through.
Yeah, he did.
So
He did.
with everything, you know, we kicked around different names to call it and ticker options and stuff, and so yeah, I'm so happy it came out with Relix.
It's all coming together.
So it's an entertainment token, though.
Yes, it
right?
is. Yeah.
So it's not tied right now to any real world assets.
No.
But what we will do in the future is be able to implement, you know, RWAs and NFTs and basically peg those to specific things in the future. It's
and tomorrow we're launching from the
it's on the Solana blockchain.
Yeah, from the desert. I mean, that will be something, and our own crypto coin.
And we'll have to do another podcast with Eric to talk about the intricacies of why Solana and you know, we have our tokenomics. So if you guys go to relix.io, not relix.com, but relix.io, that's relix.io, you'll be able to see our tokenomics. You'll see Herman on there, myself, Dr. Chase, and Eric as the founders of the company that's minting the token. And it's very transparent. We built it to be a long-term...
To last.
Solution
to
a long-term problem.
And next time maybe we can discuss the specifics of our, you know, historical details on our finding and how we expect to approach it once we have made our claim public. And we'll be able to say more about, you know, exactly what we found and how we expect to move the project forward. I mean, right now, because the situation we are in, we have to be careful to what we say.
There's so much more that we know that we can't talk about.
Not yet. I mean, it will be.
So if you guys want to know more, you're going to have to stay tuned as these things unfold.
He has a future in podcast bit.
So we're talking. You know, you've been in DC a lot, to put it.
Yeah.
To put it one way, right?
Yeah. No comment.
No comment. Yeah. So. There's a lot of
moving parts.
There's a lot of moving parts, but it's a very much it's a geopolitical sensitive subject, and legal in nature and academic in this particular this site. So
it's like
very
I said,
exciting. It's put it this way, you guys. When this news becomes public, which it will very soon, it's going to be world news. It's going to be on the cover of every newspaper and everywhere.
Indeed. No question about that.
No question about it. All around the world. So super excited to
So this is your first podcast, right? Your first podcast.
This is our first podcast here. This is my first podcast.
This is my second. I mean, look.
You know, and,
pretty cool.
And ever, And so, I mean, formally, right?
Yeah.
And I've done some other stuff.
You're famous already.
Stuff, you know, but
I have another project, by the way. The Florida project is coming, so that might also be another, not for right now, but another.
That's a good point. We should touch on.
Not enough time.
No. But on that,
we have to go to the desert. Remember?
Yeah, we are. We're going to the desert, you guys. Right now, after this, we're going to the Bubbling Hot Springs by Palm Springs, and we're gonna party. We're gonna mint the token.
Yes, sir.
And we're gonna celebrate, and so. Yeah, thank you for coming down. I know you sat in 3 hours of traffic in LA.
Oh man, I would never live to it.
He calls me on the phone.
You California
and
people are crazy.
He goes, Caleb.
I just couldn't believe it.
I couldn't believe when I saw it's 4 hours to go 90 miles.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
No, but I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much, and thank you guys for coming and.
For Neil.
For Neil Hockstad right here.
For Neil. There we
go. All right.